Biography of Sheikh Al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Was he suffering from the ruling political system? His qualities and morals since the emergence of the Islamic message and its spread in the world. Part 8. We continue to narrate a stage in the life of Sheikh Al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. He composed his masterwork averting the conflict between reason and revealed tradition, Dar Tarid al-Aqwal wa al-Naqwal, sometime after 1313, followed by his refutation of Twelver Shi'ism, the way of the prophetic Sunnah, Manhaj al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyah. These three works take up 10, 11, and 9 volumes, respectively, in their modern Arabic critical editions. Ibn Taymiyyah also wrote large works on law, prophecy, and Christianity. Of special philosophical interest is his refutation of the logicians, al-Rad Allah al-Mantiqiyan, which he started while under house arrest in Alexandria in 1309 to 1310 and completed later in Damascus. Also of interest is Ibn Taymiyyah's work on political theology, law-guided public policy, al-Siyasa al-Shariah, which appears to have been drafted around 1310 and then completed upon his return to Damascus. While Ibn Taymiyyah's large works have been published separately, a great many of his small and medium-length writings have been published in collections, the most cited of which is the 37-volume Majmu Fatawa, first published 1961-7, Murad 1979, Bori 2009, 2010, 2021, Hoover 2019b, 1-39. Contrary to the dominant currents of post-classical Islamic thought, Ibn Taymiyyah's ontology is physicalist or materialist. All existence, including God, are concrete particulars capable of being perceived, masas, by at least one of the 5 senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Whatever is not susceptible to perception by the senses does not exist. Even existence in the unseen world, alam al-ghaib, are accessible to sense perception under certain conditions. The unseen, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, is not an intellectual world or a world of immaterial images. Instead, the unseen world, like the seen, consists of concrete particulars with temporal and spatial dimensions that may be perceived by the senses when unimpeded. Among other things, the unseen includes God, angels, the afterlife, and the human soul, which is distinct from the human body but not immaterial. Some things in the unseen world have already been perceived in this life by prophets in visions and dreams, and believers will see God in front of them with their eyes in the hereafter. God is in fact more seeable than any other existent because God's existence is more perfect than the existence of anything else. Conversely, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, the incorporeal God of Kalam theology and philosophers like Ibn Sina, Avicenna, d. 1037, and Ibn Rushd is tantamount to a non-existent. That God is no more than a concept in the mind. Mustafa 2017, Suleiman 2019, 98-102, El Tobgi 2020, 230-5, 251-2, Hoover 2022, 647-8. Parallel to this physicalism, Ibn Taymiyyah denies that universals exist in extramental reality. He rejects universals existing independently of particulars, Platonic realism, or as shared essences or quiddities, mahiyat, within particulars that the mind abstracts as universals, Aristotelian and Avicennan moderate realism. Shared meanings and universal notions abstracted from concrete particulars in the extramental world exist only in the mind. There is, for example, no extramental absolute human in which concrete and particular humans participate or of which they are instantiations, and there is no real quiddity human that exists in every human. There are only ontologically distinct existents that a mind groups together under a shared meaning or mental universal called human. For Ibn Taymiyyah, extramental existents do share in the fact of existing and in the fact of having unique essences and quiddities. Between any two existents is something that they share and something that distinguishes them. They must share in being two existents that subsist and obtain, and in each one having a reality, hakika, which is its essence, its identify, nafs, and its quiddity, even if the two existents are obviously different as in the case of black and white. Dar Tarid 5, 83-4. It is then the unique essences that distinguish existence from each other and render them all completely unique individuals. The essence of something is in fact its very existence along with its attributes. El-Tobgi 2020, 246-50. Ibn Taymiyyah's views on universals are not entirely unique within post-classical Islam. He is part of a wider drift toward nominalism or conceptualism found in earlier figures such as Shihab al-Din al-Suhrawardi, d. 1191, Adamson and Benovich 2023, 189-256. Ibn Taymiyyah also maintains that certain rational principles obtain universally, both in the mind and in instrumental reality. These principles accord with his physicalist ontology, and they include logical axioms like the law of non-contradiction and the law of the excluded middle. It is not possible, for example, that something exist and not exist at the same time, or that something exist neither inside the world nor outside of it. Likewise, one of two existence cannot be neither suffused within the other nor distinct from it. Ibn Taymiyyah also affirms the division of existence into two fundamental types. Every existent is either eternal or originated, necessary or possible, and self-subsisting or subsisting in another. He insists on the universal applicability of efficient causality as well. Nothing possible or temporal can come into existence without a sufficient cause. Everything originated requires an originator, mudith, and everything preponderated needs a preponderator, maraji. It is for this reason, Ibn Taymiyyah maintains, that normally functioning human beings perceive directly from their own existence that there must be a God who created them. El-Tobgi 2020, 255-60, 283. Ibn Taymiyyah's epistemology is based on sense perception, hiss, report, khabar, reason, aql, and the human natural constitution, fitra. Sense perception is both outer and inner. Outer sense perception comes through the five senses. It perceives the particulars of the visible world in this life, and it perceives God in the hereafter. Inner sense perception is of hunger, thirst, joy, pain, the existence of one's own soul, and the existence of God. Sense perception, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, is immediate and necessary in the sense that it cannot be denied. Report is related to sense perception insofar as it derives from the sense perceptions of others who have experienced what they report. Reports may be of particulars and universals and of the seen and the unseen. Much of what we know comes from reports because our own sense perception is limited in range. Divine revelation constitutes a special category of reports providing knowledge about the unseen world and the hereafter. Reports provide certain knowledge only if they are so abundantly transmitted as to preclude collusion and forgery. Muslims consider the Quran and some reports from the Prophet Muhammad to be abundantly transmitted, mutawatir. Ibn Taymiyyah regards some reports of the early Muslims, the Salaf, to be abundantly transmitted as well. El-Tobgi 2020, 227-9, 235-41. Reason for Ibn Taymiyyah is both a rational faculty and a kind of immediate, badihi, and necessary, daruri, knowledge. The latter includes logical axioms like those noted above, e.g., the law of excluded middle and the law of non-contradiction, and basic moral intuitions, e.g., that God must be the only object of worship and that what is beneficial is good. The functions of reason as a faculty include forming universals in the mind from the extramental concrete particulars known through the senses and carrying out rational inferences. El-Tobgi 2020, 253-60. The Fitra frames Ibn Taymiyyah's epistemological outlook as the original normative disposition, El-Tobgi 2020-260, or natural constitution, Hoover 2007-39, of the human being to believe in and worship God alone just as an infant instinctively seeks to drink its mother's milk. God creates human beings with a Godward orientation, and this includes many things known by reason such as the basic rules of thought and fundamental moral intuitions. Corrupting influences and incorrect kalam and philosophical reasoning may divert the fitra from its proper ends. The role of prophecy and divine revelation then is to perfect the fitra by removing sources of corruption, providing correct arguments, and revealing aspects of the divine law not known through natural means. Holtzman 2010, 165-78. Anyam 2012, 215-27. Kazi 2013, 232-313. Vasilou 2016, 77-92. El-Tobghi 2020, 260-4. Candiard 2023-309-28. Apart from prophecy, Ibn Taymiyyah also appeals to the collective fitra of humankind to secure the reliability of sensory knowledge and rational axioms against the corrupt reasoning of kalam theologians and philosophers. For example, the axiom that one of two existence is either suffused within the other or distinct from it is so abundantly transmitted from ordinary people of sound fitra as to preclude collusion and error. This unmasks the faulty reasoning of theologians of corrupted fitra who posit a third type of existent that is neither suffused within another existent nor distinct from it, i.e., God. With this, abundant transmission, tawatur, guarantees for Ibn Taymiyyah not only the authenticity of divine revelation but also the certainty of knowledge that accords with logical axioms and sense perception. El-Tobghi 2018a, El-Tobghi 2020, 267-75. Ibn Taymiyyah devotes his refutation of the logicians, al-Rad Allah al-Mantian, to Aristotelian logic as reformulated by Ibn Sina. The Avicennan logical system is foundationalist. New knowledge is built up from primary knowledge through discursive reasoning. Otherwise, without a foundation of primary knowledge, rational inferences would regress infinitely. Avicennan logic furthermore divides knowledge, ilm, into conceptualization, tasawwur, and assent, tasdik. Conceptualization is the formation of a notion or concept in the mind. Some concepts like thing and existent are primary. They are known immediately without discursive reasoning, nizar. Other concepts are acquired by formation of a real definition, had, which indicates the essence or quiddity, mahaya, of a species by specifying its genus and specific difference. For example, the definition of human as rational animal is acquired through reflection on prior knowledge of the species, animal, and the specific difference, rational. The definition generates a concept in the mind that corresponds to the quiddity of the existing thing in extramental reality. Assent, the second division of Avicennan logic, affirms the truthfulness of a proposition. Assents are also primary or acquired, and they may be either certain, yaqeen, or probable. Primary assents that are certain include, among other things, primary truths, e.g., the whole is greater than the part, sense perceptions, e.g., seeing that the sun is shining, and abundantly transmitted reports, e.g., of the existence of a given city. Probable primary assents include beliefs about human customs and laws. Acquired assents are derived through induction, analogy, and syllogism. Induction and analogy impart no more than probability, but a valid categorical syllogism with certain premises provides apodictic certainty. Such a syllogism is called a demonstration, Burhan, Enadi 1984, Halleck 1993, XIV-XVII, XXVII-XXVII, 4-5n. 4. Ahmed 2011, Black 2013. Ibn Taymiyyah falls within a tradition going back to the 12th century that subjected Ibn Sina's Aristotelian notion of real definition to skeptical critique. He rejects the ontology underpinning Avicennan definitions. Definitions do not delineate real Avicennan quiddities shared by multiple existents outside the mind, and the attributes of extramental realities are not divided into those which are quiddative or essential and those which are not. Ibn Taymiyyah maintains instead that definitions are matters of linguistic convention. They simply name and identify what is defined, and they distinguish one thing from another. This is the view of definitions common among kalam theologians. Following on from this, Ibn Taymiyyah asserts that Aristotelian definitions are not needed to form concepts and that in fact, as the Ash'ari theologian Fakhr al-Din al-Razi, d. 606-1210, argued earlier, real definitions cannot lead to the acquisition of conceptualizations at all. Conceptualizations are all primary and empirical in character. They arise from experience and the senses, both external, e.g., sight and hearing, and internal, e.g., hunger, pain, love. Aristotelian definitions do not impart knowledge not already known. Those who hear definitions will not understand them unless they have previously conceptualized and understood the terms used to form the definitions themselves. The definition of human as rational animal, for example, is merely an assertion of the person who defines it. A hearer who knows this to be true will know it based on prior knowledge and not from the definition. A hearer who does not know it to be true cannot be sure that the testimony of this one person who defined it is correct without further corroboration. Mantikian 7-87, 49-129. Halleck 1993. XVIIXX, XLVIXLVII, Van Kugelgen 2005, 179-204. Ryan 2009, 2010, 2011b. On earlier critiques of definition, including Al-Razi's, C. Jacobson Ben Hamd 2020, Griffel 2021, 312-3, 336-87, Benevich 2022. Ibn Taymiyyah also denounces the logician's demonstrative syllogism as unnecessary and useless for acquiring certain knowledge. He does affirm that a categorical syllogism is formally productive. It yields certainty if its premises are certain. If the subject matter of the syllogistic form is known with certainty, then there is no doubt that it yields certainty. If it is said that every A is B and every B is C, and the two premises are known with certainty, then there is no doubt that this combination yields certain knowledge that every A is C. This is not disputed. Mantikian 293-339, cf. Halleck 1993-141. However, Ibn Taymiyyah belittles the Aristotelian and Avicennan elaboration of syllogistic figures and conditions as unduly complex and of little worth. The upshot of the multiplicity of these figures and conditions is prolixity of little use and much weariness. They are lean camel meat on a rugged mountain peak that is not easy to climb, and the meat not ample enough to be worth carrying down. Mantikian 296, 342-3, cf. Halleck 1993-141. More substantively, Ibn Taymiyyah argues that certain knowledge may be acquired without a categorical syllogism. Different people come to certainty in different ways. What is acquired knowledge for some may be immediate knowledge for others. Some need the middle term of a syllogism to acquire certain knowledge while others do not. A rational inference producing certainty also need not be composed of exactly two premises, counter to what logicians require for a demonstrative syllogism. The number of premises varies according to the ability of the one seeking knowledge, and some inferences require only one premise, that is, a single indicant, dalil, with its necessarily entailment, lazim. As an example, Ibn Taymiyyah notes that every created thing known with certainty to exist entails the existence of the creator necessarily. The argument does not need to be reformulated into a categorical syllogism to provide certainty, and to require the syllogistic form is mere pedantry. Moreover, and following on from Ibn Taymiyyah's empiricist outlook, the universal proposition in a demonstrative syllogism is in fact superfluous in matters pertaining to the extramental world because knowledge of that world is rooted in particulars. For example, to determine whether the universal, all flames burn, is true in the world outside the mind, one would need to examine all flames to see whether they all burn. In this attempt at complete induction, one would discover along the way that a particular flame burns. There would then be no need to construct a demonstrative syllogism with the universal premise, all flames burn, to attain certainty that that one flame burns. It has already been ascertained that it burns. Additionally, in view of the difficulty of achieving complete induction of particulars, acquired knowledge of the extramental world will be merely probable, not certain. Mantikian 113-4 155, 250-3, 294-7. Halleck 1993, XXVIIXXXV, 30-42, 134-7. Von Kugelgen 2005, 204-9. Ryan 2011a, 2012. Ibn Taymiyyah also claims in his refutation of the logicians that the categorical syllogism is equivalent to analogy. Analogy, qiyas al-tamthil, and the categorical syllogism, qiyas al-shumul, are equivalent. Certainty, yaqeen, and probability, Zan, differ only according to the subject matter of the premises. If the specific subject matter is certain in one, it is certain in the other, and if it is probable in one, it is probable in the other. Mantiqian 116-157, cf. 648, 200-1 244. According to Aristotelian and Avicennan logic, an analogy can never impart certain knowledge because it only compares one particular with another. An analogy transfers a judgment or property found in one particular to the second particular by virtue of a characteristic shared between the two. The cause, illa, of this shared characteristic can never be ascertained with complete certainty, and so an analogy can never impart certain knowledge. Contrary to this, Ibn Taymiyyah contends that the middle term of the categorical syllogism is identical to the cause in analogy and that an analogy can be reformulated as the first figure of a categorical syllogism. He illustrates with the famous juristic case of date wine, nabi. Date wine is forbidden by analogy to grape wine because both intoxicate. Intoxication is the cause of forbid dance in both the original and the assimilated cases. Likewise, date wine is forbidden by the following demonstration. Every date wine is an intoxicant. Every intoxicant is forbidden. Therefore, date wine is forbidden. Ibn Taymiyyah acknowledges that the greatest question concerning analogy is how to ascertain that the characteristic shared by the original and assimilated cases, e.g., intoxication, causes or necessitates the ruling, e.g., forbid dance. I stop at this point today. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the world's incredible stories. Soon we will publish Part 9. Thank you for watching.